Come and have a good time with G.O.D. I believe there's a God above me. I'm just the God of everything else. I put holes in everything else. New God flow, fuck everything else. Supreme dope dealer.
It is these days I find that it's difficult to cover or talk about Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao in a capacity I used to in 2010, 2011, and even in 2012. But now times are different. Topsy-turvy is what they call it, upside down. The way I cover events or news is levels. I can't even put into a number, levels above what I used to be before. So it's difficult because people say, oh, TstreeT, you didn't do this video, but TstreeT, can you cover this, can that, and this? That means I would be doing a Mayweather versus Pacquiao every other video every other day. You know, and I just can't do it no more, especially when there's so much other boxing to be covered. So I look at it like this. It's hard to get back into a pool where everybody's already in there having a good time and they're pissing in it. You know, I just don't, you know. So right now it's January the 13th, 2015, 110 days until Mayweather versus Pacquiao 2015, Singleton Mayweather, May 2nd, 2015. I'm TstreeT Controversy, RealCombatMedia.com. This is TstreeT Controversy Live, TstreeT Controversy on Twitter, TstreeT Controversy on Instagram, TstreeT Controversy on Facebook. Now, don't be an idiot. I was going to use profanity. I was going to call you a dickhead. But don't be an idiot and be like, well, why your Facebook has this on it? No, that's not me. Sift through it. You'll find the right one. It's me. I got, you know, haters to that extreme. I never thought. But yes. It's tough when I got to talk about the things that I've talked about a year ago. Literally, about a year ago when I say, how long? Or when I said, how long? And I did videos on this. Those videos are no longer around anymore. Long story. But I did videos on how long before those Showtime executives, the name you've been hearing a lot, Les Moonves, how long before those guys come down on Mayweather and Steven Espinoza and say, look, oh, we've given you 4 fights of whoever you wanted to fight. Now, you've made your bread. Now it's time for us to make some bread now. So it was difficult when Mayweather signed that 6-fight, 30-month deal with Showtime. It was difficult for me to believe that Showtime would allow him, Showtime CBS would allow him just to fight whoever he wanted without mixing in Pacquiao or a fighter of their choice in there. Now, there's so many things to talk about, but I don't want to be here for no half an hour. So I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes. When you look at Steven Espinoza, the executive of Showtime Sports, he's in charge of Showtime Boxing. When you look at the fact that he's allowed Canelo, yes, allowed you might as well say, because it's like, how can Canelo just Canelo's going HBO. How can these Heyman fighters they're going on NBC. You know, they may fight on Showtime sometimes. You know, and then Mayweather with 2 fights left, I'm going to fight whoever I want, then I'm out too. You know, how could this be allowed to happen? Now, as it stands right now, we're all waiting for an announcement from Floyd Mayweather. Now, I cannot, people say, well, where's your sources? Because it's hard for you to believe, or a lot of people to believe, that me, just this guy right here, with the hoodie, with the hat, doing it all intentionally, just came across some news like this to the point where I released a video. And I know I released a video and all the big boxing media and all the boxing media started getting on the phones, calling everybody. But guess what? I said a long time ago that you don't have to speak to the Oscar De La Hoyas or the Floyd Mayweathers or the Leonard Ellerbees to get the inside news. And I'll just leave it at that. So the biggest hint I'll give on how I know that the fight is happening is once it's announced by Floyd Mayweather himself. Then I'll say, okay, such and such told me. So right now it's kind of, you know, I'm not going to say any names, but right now it's like, you know, reporters don't give out and I'm not a reporter by trade. I'm just learning this. So I can't just say okay, put it this way. When I look at ESPN and when I look at as they say, the big name media write their articles and talk about their sources, I know that they don't say names. So therefore, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm ratting on somebody who basically giving me inside information that they shouldn't be giving me in the first place. But at the same time, I challenge you to say, I challenge you to this. For one, I have 11,000 people here in a little less than 5 months, I believe it is. Yeah, less than 5 months. About 100 video, almost 100 videos per month. 11,000 people. You know, I understand that I talk a lot of shit and everything, but goddamn, numbers speak for themselves. Goddamn, you know, there's been a lot of work, and partly because of the reputation I've made for myself. You know, I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But right now, if I say a fight is official, then right now my record is like 95%. I just don't be saying shit and it just don't happen. It's just that my presentation and my appearance, people don't often find me credible until later on. They be like, oh shit, that guy was right. For example, I'm gonna throw something out there to you. Now listen to me and follow me. Listen to what I'm saying. Somebody just told me right now, it is 9:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 13th, 2015. Somebody told me that Jose Zito Lopez will be taking on Andre Berto. Are you hearing this here? Nobody else is going to do this video, but guess what? You're hearing me say it first. And what happens if it becomes official? I won't get no credit for it. But I'm not here to say, oh, well, yeah, I remember telling you so and all that. All I'm saying is this. Listen, you want to do something, you got a little bit of free time on your hands, and are you a troll? If you want to troll me, I tell you what. I want you to call up the MGM Grand Casino Resort Hotel, and I want you to try to book a room for May the 2nd, 2015. I want you to ask a little bit of questions to the customer service representative, whoever picks up the phone. Now, I'm not saying that those customer service people are boxing insiders, but guess what? You can't tell me that they haven't had a meeting with their superiors like, all right, guys, listen, Mayweather versus Pacquiao is happening. It's going to be the biggest night in boxing history, and we want to make sure we provide the biggest, best service. And, you know, so it's things like that. Like when I tell people, okay, well, try to go so far. Like if you want to know about fights or what days fights may be going on that haven't happened yet, often what you have with promoters is they'll secure the dates first before they even know what fighters are going to be fighting on those dates. So what I say is, if you're a guy where you got Verizon, Time Warner, whatever different cable company you have, Sky News, try to scroll all the way on Showtime or HBO. As far as you can go, try to go to March or April, if you can, and look at those Saturday night, you know, when it say 10:45 to 1 a.m. and it say to be announced. You know, it's stuff like that I do. You know, it's stuff like that I base my credibility off of. Also, not drinking to the extent I was. Oh my God, on camera, oh my God. So now people take me more seriously to the point where I'm able to have conversations with people and say, oh, this guy's a good guy. And people share information with me. So when it comes to Mayweather versus Pacquiao, it's difficult to talk about it because it's so epic. And I think to myself, like, my God, it's happening. So what do you talk about now that it's happening? Just like I say to myself, what's going to be going on with all these other boxing channels that cover Mayweather versus Pacquiao? And then it happens and then it's over. What are you going to be doing literally 1 year from now? What are you going to be covering? My God. It's going to be like a mass suicide of boxing channels and boxing fans. Whether it's the Floyd Mayweather side or it's the Manny Pacquiao side. Now, you already heard, you know, once again, I'll tell you. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and tell you again, even though I've done videos on it in the past. Les Moonves of CBS. He's the guy way at the top, all the way at the top of the food chain. Is doing his business all the way to Showtime, mid-level-ish, you know, to him, and saying, yo, listen, make this Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight happen. Or, you know, Heyman, you're going to need some fighters to fight on pay-per-view. That shit's not happening. And Mayweather, you're not fighting whoever you want to fight. We want Mayweather versus Pacquiao. You're not going to just sail off into the sunset undefeated fighting Amir Khan if you can get past him. And maybe a Keith. I don't know. But you got to think. They had to have in their mind, all right, Mayweather versus Pacquiao. You know, when they first signed him, everybody wants to make that fight. And imagine if Heyman, you know, announces this NBC Sports deal himself, you know, and then he makes Mayweather versus Pacquiao, and then he starts giving us fights that we want to see. In my opinion, Heyman needs Mayweather versus Pacquiao. You know, as far as for the fans to have faith in him. Because right now we know that he holds the key to making these super fights. Because he's been basically banned from HBO. The HBO fighters, the guys like Timothy Bradley, the Brandon Rioses, the Mike Alvarados, the Juan Manuel Marquezes, the Gennady Gennadovich Golovkins, the Sergio Martinez, and all those guys. And don't get into the little bullshit knick-knack shit. Well, this person can fight on that network. And I'm just saying, his fighters don't fight those guys. And we know we can isolate it to him because he's the guy in charge. So if he was to deliver to us and let us know, oh, he can work with HBO again, that's when I could start having faith in fights like Carl Froch versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. or Deontay Wilder versus a Vladimir Klitschko. I could start or a Gennady Golovkin versus maybe a Peter Quillen or somebody. I could start having faith in those fights as a boxing fan if he makes that one big fight, which I've been saying for now years. You can't make those little underling fights where Heyman is negotiating to make these fights with, for example, a Timothy Bradley versus a Keith Thurman, or a Timothy Bradley versus Amir Khan. Even though it's a big fight, you can't make those fights unless you make the big one first, And that's what you do. You're out on him, the most powerful man in boxing. You can't make Mayweather versus Pacquiao. It's frustrating to an extent because I don't like doing videos like these anymore. So I look at it like this. Until the fight becomes official, before I start getting myself all worked up, and right now I'm running out of asthma medication, I'm going to go lay down and relax. Maybe play some Fight Night, watch some Netflix. I'm TstreeT Controversy on Twitter. I'm TstreeT Controversy on Facebook. I'm TstreeT Controversy on Instagram. Please subscribe.